Matt, what are we going to do for tonight's intro?
I figured we'd hum a few bars and fake it.
Tonight, we have 6 new Bardic Colleges for you to play by ear.
That's how we roll. 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 That's how we roll.
Welcome to the Goblins Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
We're talking about Bardic Colleges.
that's right, one of our favorite PC classes. Tonight, we've got 6 new subclasses that you've never seen before, or if you have seen them before, well, they're better than you've seen before.
Or at the very least, this is our twist on them.
Absolutely. One of which is a delightful twist, I might add. And so tonight, we're going to dive into that, give you a little bit more flavor for your campaign and for your game.
It's all about, you know us, it's all about flavor.
Mad flavor. But if you haven't yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. Help our show get out to more people and be notified when interesting episodes come your way.
And if you're listening to the show, you could give us a review on iTunes or Podchaser. It helps us out a lot.
That's right. Now, we're going to dive into Bardic Colleges. So, Matt, it would probably be helpful, particularly for 5e, what is actually in a Bardic College?
Well, you know, Bardic Colleges are basically the subclasses for bards.
Sure.
So generally what you're going to get is at 3rd level, you're going to get a bonus proficiency and an ability. You're going to get an ability at 6th level,
That's right.
an ability at 14th level. You're going to get some magical secrets, and in some cases, you're going to get bonus magical secrets, like for the lore bard.
Yeah. But that's basically it.
Yeah.
So a couple of abilities that are flavored according to whatever theme your bard happens to be themed from.
Exactly.
And then extra magic spells.
Right.
Now, for tonight's episode,
We're actually going to suggest some spells that you might want to take with your magic secrets.
and when we say suggest, we say if you don't take them, you're foolish. So take them.
They're just perfectly flavored for the subclass that we've got for you,
Absolutely.
in our opinion.
Yes. And tonight, Matt, I believe you have the first Bardic subclass,
I do indeed.
the College of the Coxswain.
Yep.
Coxswain, which is a delightful word. Matt's going to tell us what that word actually means, and I'm going to periodically say coxswain as often as possible. So first off, what is the College of the Coxswain, Matt?
The coxswain is the drummer timekeeper bard. Basically, they're the people on a boat that keep time for rowing, or in some cases, it kind of evolved to the boat's musician to keep people's spirits up.
I love that. Okay, so it is a kind of a timing theme, right?
Mhm.
Time bard. A
Absolutely.
time bard?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, like a time lord, maybe? Excellent. So give me the description of the College of the Coxswain.
All right.
Coxswain. I'll try not to say that too much.
As the ship crests the latest wave from the rolling sea, you hear the rhythmic beat of a drum. The sound lightens your heart and speeds your companion's strokes as you row across the open waters.
Awesome. So this is a perfect subclass for Spelljammer.
It is, because they are, giant sailing ships.
Or pirates.
Mhm.
And you know how we love pirates.
We do indeed. It's also good for a Viking-themed game because, well, Vikings used oars on all of their longships.
Absolutely. I could totally see that. Honestly, any naval combat theme would be good for the College of the Coxswain.
Indeed. Also, airship pirates.
Airship pirate. Oh, yes.
Doesn't have to be just Spelljammer. It
Could be any. Yeah. A la Final Fantasy if you want to play that. I mean,
100. Yep.
I love this. Cool. So what's the bonus proficiency, Matt?
Logically, it's going to be either pilot watercraft, pilot aircraft, and or navigation.
Makes perfect sense. Now, we get a 3rd, a 6th, a 14th, and then other stuff, right? So what's that 3rd?
The 3rd is you can use your bardic inspiration to grant somebody in your party or some ally within 60 feet of you an extra reaction for the round.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful ability. So I'm a bard. I can burn an inspiration point, and you get an extra reaction.
And if you give it to the mage, that's shield and counterspell.
That's right. Yeah. And why wouldn't you at that point? Cool. So at 6th and 14th, again, we're going on this time theme once again, and you get what?
At 6th, you can use a use of your Bardic Inspiration to grant somebody a bonus action. Right? Simple, but still traveling that theme.
Very effective.
And for 14th level, you can also grant an extra action without the use of a Bardic Inspiration based off of your proficiency number of times per day.
So if your proficiency bonus is +3, 3 times a day, hey, that's 3 extra actions that the warrior gets to chop up the monster, 3 extra time stops that the wizard gets to cast.
Sure.
I mean,
Or your monk is just,
you're just having a field day.
I feel like attacking 36 times this round.
Yeah, your monk is literally a Gatling gun at that point. I love this idea.
What is it? E-Honda with the 100-handed slap? Pop, 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 pop.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Little Street Fighter action and everything. Awesome.
Additionally, at 14th level, anyone under the effects of your Bardic Inspiration gains 5 foot of movement until the Bardic Inspiration is used.
Your monk is going to love you.
And your Barbarian at that point.
Barbarian? Yeah,
they're
Barbarian's
going to
gonna
be
love that.
marathon
Honestly,
runners too.
Who doesn't love extra 5 feet of movement? It's great. Okay, so we've got some suggested spells that we think are choice. And obviously the first one that comes to mind is haste.
Sure.
Now, bards already get slow,
Right.
but for the coxswain, you got to have haste.
Yeah, for the extra
actions. Nothing but actions, right?
Sure.
What else we got?
Control winds.
Naval themed. Makes sense.
Sure. Reverse gravity.
Okay. Why on that one? I mean, I love, first off, it's amusing to me, yes. But why?
2 reasons. 1, for Spelljammer. You can just float people out of their gravity sphere.
Okay. Loving that.
And if you're on the water, you float up the opposing ships, everybody on the opposing ship because of the area of effect, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ship just sails out from underneath them.
This is great. Awesome. Now we've got a couple other ones. Control weather's another suggested one I think is a naval themed.
Sure.
Now you've also got time stop down there, which makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on, it's a time bard. Got to have time stop. And then finally,
okay, so you're going to be out on the ocean or out in space or what have you. You need something to really kind of hammer into that naval theme a little bit. Storm of Vengeance is a good way to go.
yes. And I feel that if you're playing music as a bard for the College of the Coxswain, you have to somehow drum out Wagner's, dun 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 dun, as the Storm of Vengeance is literally blasting foes to smithereens.
Or you're doing thunder rolls on a timpani. I would allow you to do that.
Thunder rolls?
No, like literally the...
Okay, yeah. I also think AC/DC's Thunderstruck would also apply.
Sure.
That would be fun.
Now, that is it for the Coxswain, which means it's your turn. And you're starting us off with the College of the Mime.
Yes, the Mime Bard. Now, others have done this before, and I've looked at it, and there are many awesome ones, but this is a Goblin's Corner spin on the Mime Bard, and I think we've done it better. So let me give you a brief description. Your party faces off against the Red Dragon. It roars, unleashing fiery death upon the heroes. Suddenly your bard, clad in stripes of white and black and a foppish hat, leaps in front of the group, gesturing wildly and silently throwing himself against an invisible wall, saving the group.
Okay.
So, the College of the Mime, literally miming spells
Things into existence.
Exactly.
Nice. I like it. What is the bonus proficiency?
Insight. Because you're a mime. You got to get insight into what people are doing, and then you can mime stuff out appropriately.
Okay. So what is their 3rd level ability?
Well, it's a bit of a spin on Subtle Spell from Sorcerer, but it's the Bardic version. So you burn a Bardic Inspiration,
Okay.
and you essentially cast the Subtle Spell Metamagic. But there's a bit of a difference. It removes the verbal and somatics, but you still have to mime the spell.
Okay.
So if I want to cast Fireball...
Right. You don't actually do the somatic components. You literally just...
pretend like you're throwing a fireball.
That's fair. Okay.
And it hits them.
Sure.
More likely, it will be stuff like abjuration spells. Like, I see Wall of Force. Like, I just kind of do the wall, and then a Wall of Force appears.
Sure. So what do you get for 6th level?
Well, 6th level, you get a different ability. It's called Mimed Phantasm.
Okay.
As a standard action, you mime using a common weapon, tool, or object. So you pretend to use whatever it is, right?
Sure.
The object is created invisibly from force, and it lasts as long as you use your action to maintain it. So imagine the Bardic Mime miming a sword or whatnot and attacking with a sword.
Sure.
And it's a force weapon, so you can hit ghosts.
Right. I like that idea. I would also probably allow like very minor things, like most of the effects of prestidigitation, right? Like if I was lighting a cigarette or like lighting a candle with something, I would absolutely allow that to catch fire.
Or lockpicks. You imagine him pretending to lockpick. That'd be great, right?
Yep.
Pretending
it's a tool. It actually falls under your description. So
or have a plate. Or what we talked about before the show, when you're like, it would be great is I would totally mime a pitcher of water, and it's just have the water just floating in midair and pouring drinks for everybody else.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be great. Finally, as 14th, as a standard action, you mime a wall and you cast Wall of Force. This wall lasts as long as you use your action to maintain it by miming it.
Makes sense. You got to do the classic.
Yeah.
It's got to be in there.
So just Wall of Force. But you have to keep doing it because if you stop, Wall of Force goes away.
Yeah.
That's the Mime Bard right there. Now, we do have some suggested spells. And
I love the first one. It only makes sense.
Silence.
Sure.
It's a mime, right? The you need anything else for? You're miming. And no one else should be able to speak either.
Right.
To truly appreciate the art.
The second one is Wall of Force.
Oh, yeah. Any force-based spell would work because they're technically invisible, so you could mime them. I could see Magic Missile would be a fun one. Miming a Magic Missile, just pretend to like reach back and like mime a bow and arrow, and all of a sudden, dude's got a hole in him. That'd be hilarious. Any type of invisible conjuration would also be acceptable. So, for example, Bigsby's hands.
Yeah, Unseen Servants.
Unseen Servant would be great. Or Tensor's floating disc. Imagine carrying a bunch of loot by miming it. That'd be fun.
like you've got it over your shoulder, dragging it along.
Sure. Anything force or phantasm illusion based would also apply.
Yeah. Phantasmal Force and Phantasmal Killer come to mind.
Phantasmal Killer would be great because you'd be miming like wringing somebody's neck, and they're like, how is he force choking that guy?
I was thinking miming like, look out behind you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to fall for that. Dun dun.
Yeah, so lots of fun, lots of thematics, and honestly, no one plays a mime. So this would be a good reason to do it, right?
Sure.
Now for the third subclass, you have the College of Busking. Another unused term, busking, right? What does busking mean?
Busking are people who perform on the street.
Yeah,
They're
so
street entertainers.
Street performers, right? I love this because it is not only thematic, but it's honestly what many bards are in a traditional like fantasy campaign, right? Playing at taverns, playing on the street and stuff like that. So this is really cool. Kind of roguishy.
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah, just give me a little description here.
Walking through the city, you turn the corner to find yourself face to face with a young musician performing on the corner. They play a jaunty tune, lightening your heart and your wallet.
Very appropriate. Roguish. So what kind of stuff can we encounter as a College of the Busker?
Well, they are roguey bards. You're going to have like con artists, pickpockets, swindlers, and hustlers. They're the type of bards that people say all bards are.
Yes. We've got some proficiencies. What kind of proficiencies do we get?
Either sleight of hand or deception.
Either of which is appropriate.
Right. For their third level ability, they get an object of storing.
That sounds interesting.
You basically gain the ability to construct an object, usually a hat or a coat or an instrument case, which has the following functions. At third level, any object dropped within is only removable by you or those given access by you.
Okay.
It's basically like setting your hat out and making sure that people can't steal the money you've made.
Sure. A hat of access, basically.
Right. At sixth level, it functions as a bag of holding.
Even more useful and comical because I could totally see you pulling rabbits out of a hat.
Sure. Or pulling your hat out and then reaching your arm all the way down in there.
And there's a whole chest in there. Let me get my trunk out.
There's my concert harp.
You know what'd be hilarious is for the College of Busking, have a trench coat that does that.
Sure.
You want to buy some watches, kid? And there's like an entire watch store.
Now, you may only have one object of storing at any given time, and if yours is destroyed, you can recreate it over a long rest.
Sounds fun. Very useful. So we've got at 3rd level, delightful magical thing that upgrades at 6th level. What do we get at 6th level in terms of the next ability?
At 6th level, you get the old razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
You spend 1 bardic inspiration point, and you whip up an auditory performance of sensational acclaim.
Sensational acclaim. Okay.
Indeed. This ability functions as an auditory version of hypnotic pattern.
Okay. That's really cool.
It's basically a Wiz DC to resist equal to your perform check.
So you're basically like a siren in this case, doing like the hallucinatory pattern, but it's auditory.
Correct.
Okay, I'm getting it.
Any creature that can't hear is obviously unaffected.
Right, that makes sense.
Just like any creature that can't see a hypnotic pattern.
A lot of fun. Spend an inspiration point. Very useful ability. Very useful in combat as well, by the way. Now, what do you get at 14th, Matt?
At 14th, you get Flash Mob. Flash Mob is, as a standard action, you create an illusionary audience to better attract others as well as to provide a distraction for yourself.
Sure.
This ability creates 5d6 worth of attendees, which you have limited control over.
So you're making a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds great.
These audience members can be moved and perform simple actions like singing along, dancing, cheering, freezing.
Stabbing people in the face.
They can be made to tip you.
Okay.
Additionally, the illusion is so accurate that the audience members have some amount of substance to them, but they disappear if they take 1 hit point of damage.
I see. Interesting. How long does Flash Mob last?
Flash Mob is concentration up to 10 minutes, but only once per long rest.
Very useful, once again. That's a fun ability to have, and thematically that would work really well as well.
And, you know, it ties into the whole pop culture actual flash mobs happening. Like you could walk in, sing the first line of a song, and then a group of backup dancers comes along out of nowhere.
Yeah. Now we also have some busking-oriented spells, and I think the first one is very choice, pyrotechnics.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you know, you're playing on the street, have a little pyrotechnics going in the background, some fireworks and such.
And who doesn't like fireworks?
Sure. You came up with conjure animals.
Sure. A lot of people read conjure animals and they're like, great, I'm going to have a whole bunch of geese to attack this opponent, whatever. No. Conjure animals follow commands, which means you could do the dog and pony show.
And literally have a dog and a pony.
Yes.
Okay, I'm down with that. Sure. We also have Leomund's, whatever, right? Magnificent Mansion or
Tiny Hut.
Yeah, Tiny Hut. Why? Because they're living on the street.
Yeah, they're buskers.
Yeah. I mean, if I was magically oriented, I would want a place to stay.
Yes. Some place to keep the rain off.
Sure. To that point, also.
Control weather.
Yes. And we also have mass suggestion, which makes perfect sense, and then seeming. Tell me a little bit about seeming, why that would be useful.
Seeming allows you to perfectly blend in with whatever city or setting you happen to be in.
Which if you're College of the Busking, you're going to be moving through different crowds and stuff like that, so it makes perfect sense.
It also is very useful if you get your hand caught in somebody's wallet.
Yes.
Bounce around a corner, change what you look like, and head off.
So that's College of the Busking. A lot of flavor there. A lot of musically inclined shenanigans you can get into.
I like it. I think that would be fun.
A lot of fun. Speaking of shenanigans, we've got...
The question of the week.
Okay. We got a Bard-related question this week. I can't wait to hear it.
All right, Eric. What is your signature genre or instrument if you were a bard?
I've got 2 choices for this.
Shocking.
I know. Yeah, I know. Every time you ask me, I've got multiple choices. But the first one, which I think is most amusing, would be me playing the air guitar.
Okay.
And then some kind of minor illusion
to actually make the sound
to actually
happen?
make the sound. That would be hilarious. I also think having an EDM techno bard would be awesome, and I have not seen a campaign that has run that yet, although we haven't played a lot of D20 Modern, so that might be kind of fun.
Does it have to be modern, though? What if you have a magic item?
Exactly.
That's a keyboard.
Yeah, keyboard of beats.
Mm-hmm.
Funky beats. That's what I want to play. So I think that'd be kind of fun. Also, can you imagine a bard? They're getting into a fight, and he pulls out this long-ass keyboard from a bag of holding and sets up. He's plugging everything in. Half the combat's almost done. He's hooking up the speakers. It's just, yeah, little dubstep action and stuff. It'd be great. That would be my choice, obviously, because it's amusing to me. What would yours be, Matt?
For me personally, my genre would probably be Irish drinking songs. And as Matt doesn't actually play an instrument, it would probably just be singing.
I could see that. That'd be a lot of fun. I could also see you playing on wine glasses. Again, another amusing dungeon concept where you're setting up all the wine glasses and then,
If it were an instrument that I wish I could play and had access to, I love the idea of a bard who lugs around a stand-up bass.
Mm-hmm.
Like a full concert. No. The full concert bass.
Oh, so not a jazz bass, like a big bass.
Like one my size, yeah.
That would be fun.
Just set it. Doom, doom, doom.
Make it out of adamantium and use it as a shield, like a tower shield. Take a couple levels of paladin. Think about that. That would be great. Paladin, bard of the bass.
Yeah.
Beat somebody to death with it. That'd be hilarious.
Bass. If it were the busking bard, though, he'd just put it in the holding.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe live in it because it's so big. That'd be great. Of course, we're always interested to hear what others have to say. So if you have an answer to the question of the week, hit us up at Goblin's Corner on Twitter. And of course, you can find us on all the social media channels. We're also on Mastodon in case Twitter dies in a dumpster fire.
It's true.
Because it's looking like that these days.
Next up.
Yeah, we went there.
So here's the thing. There's a trope about the horny bard.
Yes.
So
bards be that's the trope.
You decided that you were just going to dive headlong into this trope and write an actual subclass about it.
Yes, because I was like, it's okay. So first off, it's an overplayed trope. But secondly, it's kind of an amusing trope to me.
Right.
And so we're taking the Nestea plunge. We're diving hard into that.
I mean, sometimes that's where the comedy comes from, right? Like that's where humor is take something and then just turn the volume up enough that it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. So we call this the College of Crypto Seduction, which I thought was appropriate.
So hit me with the description.
All right. You track the Medusa to her lair. Broken statues of fallen adventurers lie strewn about the caverns. Sensing movement nearby, the party prepares their weapons, but suddenly the bard jumps to the forefront, spritzing himself with a fine cologne. He waves off his companions, unwraps a box of chocolates and bouquet of roses as he places a bag over his head and heads into the gloom. I can't even read it, and I'm laughing. It's great. It's a trope, but we're leaning really hard into this part of the pun.
Yeah. What is the proficiency?
Either a choice of diplomacy, which makes perfect sense, or deception.
Depends on whether or not you're a good guy about it.
Honest or deceiving bard.
Yeah.
Sure.
While this is a joke kind of subclass,
This is useful.
Yeah, it's not a bad subclass. We'll get into some of the ones that are more or less useful depending on where you go, but
it's this, I mean, this is technically what 3.5 used to have, which was called a diplomancer.
somewhat, yeah.
Now, this is obviously oriented toward a specific type of diplomacy,
Right.
but you could totally use it for honest purposes.
Yeah.
And you probably should, right? Again, session 0, all of this, folks. There's a lot of stuff that people may not be comfortable playing.
On some level, this also would make a great spy if you took everything to its other course, like James Bond.
Oh, I'm thinking more
This would be
Austin
amazing.
Powers, but
Well, sure,
absolutely,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. So we've got some abilities, 3rd, 6th, and 14th, of course.
So what do you get at 3rd?
You get Pillow Talk, which gives you 30-foot telepathy.
Okay, so you can talk to basically anything that has a language. That makes perfect sense.
If you go sex up the dragon, you got to be able to speak Draconic, bro.
Exactly.
It's how it works, right?
Or Gorgon or what have you.
Sure, yeah, whatever happens to be, right?
What do you get for 6th level, man?
Get in where you fit in.
Oh,
This
okay.
is a unique ability. You are biologically compatible with all species and immune to disease.
And there you go. I mean, only makes
You're
sense.
capable of reproducing with anything.
Sure.
Whether you should or not is up to your DM and your own sense of, morals.
Propriety.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is 14th level?
14th, you get pain play, which means you gain 1 immunity per long rest. So if you really want to make a fire genasi and you have to go after that fire elemental,
Sure.
then you give yourself immunity to fire for that day.
Makes sense.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is a hilarious, yes. Now, granted, these are very useful abilities. Maybe not the ability to breed with any
I was
creature.
going to say 6th level.
Not so much, right? This is more of, again, comedy. But the pain play at 14th.
That's super useful
I choose to be immune to necrotic damage today.
since we're hunting a lich.
Yeah,
What if it's not a sexy lich? What if you don't want anything to do it? Well, then I don't want it touching me.
right. I don't want to die.
We picked out some bard spells first.
Yes.
Now, these are great for the subclass. But in general, I think we both agree.
These are spells you should take regardless of anything else if you're going to play the College of Crypto Seduction.
Or even if you're just playing a bard, most of these are spells you should take.
Yeah, and the first one is a cantrip, prestidigitation. Look, I can't
It's too good.
I've always taken prestidigitation if I have the option. Calm emotions as a crypto seducer is great, but as a diplomancer in general, very useful.
Charm monster.
Again, very useful for regardless of the purposes.
If nothing else, you need to be able to have a conversation.
Yes.
Because if they come out of the cave, out of the crypt, out of whatever, just roaring and ready to fight, you got to bring them down a notch. Then you got to slow it down, have a conversation.
Buy him a drink.
Yeah.
Get a little back rub going on, whatever, right? Polymorph is another reason as well. Polymorph is useful, A, in combat, B, in diplomancy, C, in spying.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a professional spy, a little Austin Powers or 007 action, you can totally do this. And then finally, feign death. You might be saying, why feign death? I mean, yes, it's on the Bard spell list, but because...
Oh, there's a couple of reasons. One is sometimes you just need to get out of the situation.
Yeah, being dead is a great way to do it. And it's just fun. Now, in terms of suggested spells, the first one I would suggest is Expeditious Retreat.
Same reason.
Because if you're caught in bed with the frost giant and the husband walks in, you got to get out.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Time to go. What else, Matt?
Alter self.
Yeah, same reason as polymorph, right? A little bit lower. You're more useful in the lower levels before you get polymorph.
Or maybe you just don't want them to be able to recognize you.
Oh, well, that also is the case. Conjure Fey or Lesser Demon or any of the Conjure creature abilities because sometimes you just want to have a conversation.
Sure. Or get some practice in.
Yeah. Now, Matt has Pass Wall on this list, and I why?
Oh, there's a couple reasons. But generally speaking, sometimes got to make a quick exit. What if there's not a window to jump out of? Or what if you're at a level where jumping out of the window is a terrible plan?
Pass Wall through the wall and get out.
Or you just pass wall through the floor.
To the stairs, to the exit.
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense. We also have Shape Change. That comes as no surprise.
Right.
Remove Curse, again, comes as no surprise.
Yep.
And then Private Sanctum. Now this I love because all I can see is in Private Sanctum is kind of the ladies' man thing where you walk in the Private Sanctum and it's just the bachelor pad.
Sure.
It'd be great. But also for a party, still useful.
Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, also useful for that.
I would also recommend that as well. So that's the College of Crypto Seduction. Again, ridiculous, 100% usable if you use it properly. Roll it through with your DM. Definitely session 0 the out of this.
Yes. Make sure everybody is on board for silliness.
Absolutely. We've got 2 more, and Matt, you've got the next one, which I haven't seen, the College of Sculpting.
Yeah. It's actually one of the things that I haven't seen either. And, you know, you and I consider bards to be artists, not just musicians.
Correct.
And so I figured, hey, let's see if we can make something work here.
Yeah. So give me the description of the College of Sculpting.
Okay. The party tends their wounds deep within the dungeon. As they rest and bind their injuries, the bard grabs a small hammer and chisel and begins to carve an intricate design on the dungeon wall. We need to scout ahead, and I have just the little friend that can help out, the dwarf says as the relief of a weasel peels itself off the wall and stalks its way down the hallway.
That's cool. So he's like chiseling a weasel. It just peels off and just scurries away.
Yep.
Love that. So there's a lot of great thematics for this. First off, I think giants.
Giants would be cool for it. Goliaths.
Goliaths would be great. Dwarves.
Yeah. Earth Genasi.
Earth Genasi would be spectacular for the College of Sculpting. And honestly, any of these. Warforged would also be kind of cool, too.
Oh, that could be cool, yeah.
Like a stone-based Warforged.
Yeah.
Think about that. This is not something you see every day.
And it is something you're going to have to take with somewhat of a grain of salt, right? Because realistically, at what speed can you sculpt something?
So you might prepare things beforehand or do
Right.
some kind of performance art of sculpting.
Indeed.
And that would be kind of like, so maybe like you're in a dungeon and you're literally chiseling, carving stuff, and it's inspiring others to, like when you're playing a tune or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. I like the thematics and kind of the visuals behind that. We have a bonus proficiency. What is that?
It's going to be stone carving tools.
Makes perfect sense to me.
I thought so.
We also have a 3rd level ability. Of course, 6th and 14th. Tell me about this 3rd level ability, so lifelike.
It's so lifelike. You hear people in museums say that all the time. You carve a familiar for yourself. It functions in all ways like the spell, except it is a stone construct with 10 hit points and 17 AC.
This is just fine familiar, but you carve one.
Yes.
And that's really cool and very useful for a bard. Nice. What about your 6th level ability?
All melee attacks gain the siege property. You know exactly where to hit. It's what you do all day long.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
That's a stone wall. I know how to break stone. That's a stone golem. I know how to break stone.
Yeah.
It's super easy, yeah. And then 14th?
Fabricate. As a standard action, you can tap your tools and call it just for the day. I need this thing done now.
Yes. And if you haven't listened to the show, we are big fans of Fabricate because it's an exceptionally useful spell if you use it properly.
And it's really useful if you use it improperly.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about some spells that the College of Sculpting gets. Earth Tremor is a great first spell to grab.
Sure.
Because it's fun.
Yep. Dark Vision.
Yeah. If you don't have Dark Vision, you should take Dark Vision. You're sculpting, you might be in the Underdark or in a mountain, carving stuff.
You got it. Well, you also got to find the choice stone.
Oh, that's a good
You don't
point.
want garbage stone.
Yeah.
You want good stuff.
That cheap-ass stone. I want the good stone shape. Makes perfect sense. You've already got carving tools. Do some stone shape. Call it a day, right?
Well, it also lets you rough out the shape and then go in with your tools. It's much faster.
Yeah.
Investiture of Stone.
Very useful. Wall of Stone, for that matter.
Very useful.
I mean, between Wall of Stone and Stone Shape, you can make a decent living as a sculptor on the side in your game.
Absolutely. And also, you could build literally walls around people's houses and decorate them and charge an arm and a leg. And who doesn't love that?
Galdir's Tower is another good one. Again, it makes a stone tower, if you guys don't know the spell.
Bones of the Earth. It's a druid spell. It literally raises pillars of stone out of the ground.
Oh, so you're like an earthbender from Avatar. That's awesome.
But now you can literally just cut them off in the size chunks that you want. And they're pre-made sculpture blanks.
I'm thinking like Bones of the Earth to make the pillars, and then you add Wall of Stone in between them. You've got an instant castle. Yeah.
Because you've got the columns and then the
little
walls.
Stone shape action. You call it a day. And then finally, Flesh to Stone.
Sure.
Why not? Looks so lifelike. And you make a golem out of it. Be great. So I love this. So that's the College of the Sculptor. Useful, thematic.
Yeah. And just kind of a different flavor for something.
A lot of fun.
The next one we have is an amazing creation you've decided to come up with. The College of the Accomplice.
Yes. Otherwise known as the Distraction Bard. The college, well, the artistic form of distracting others.
The hype man.
The hype man. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a hype man.
All right, what's the description of this?
You're surrounded on all sides, and only the wizard's invisibility has kept the party alive. You need a distraction, and you need it now. Your bard, clad in a collection of eye-watering patterns and colors, stands and says, "Time for the grand finale." Strides into the fray with a chicken mallet and 5 gallons of neon pink paint.
All right.
The visual is amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Definitely a gnome.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? It could be anything. A satyr? That'd be fun, too.
A Goliath. Nobody's going to see that.
A Goliath. Yes.
Eye-watering Goliath.
With anime tattoos instead of the traditional tribal ones. That would be hilarious. Look, this is all built around the concept of being a decoy is fun and artistic, and sometimes you just need a decoy.
Yeah. Can
you imagine a thieves party where you have a professional decoy and everybody else is stealing stuff?
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
So it's all flash all the time. And the best part about this is most of the bard spells on the bard spell list work perfectly for the accomplice bard.
Sure. What is the bonus proficiency you get with these guys?
Deception. Certainly deception. If you have deception already, you get expertise in deception. This is all about making sure that they're looking at you and not the rest of your group.
All right. What is the 3rd level ability?
Goading Taunt. You use 1 bardic inspiration and the subject must make a wisdom save or must attack only you for the round or impose disadvantage on perception checks if not in combat. So it's taunt, right?
Sure.
You have to attack me or you're going to get disadvantage on everything, or if you're not in combat, you get disadvantage on perception checks, right?
Just make them so mad they can't see straight?
Yes. Now, as a DM note, your goading taunt should be flashy, comical, or outrageous, or all 3.
It could also be vicious, like if you're mocking a guard, right? Look at me. You instead, you could get really dirty with it, especially if it's a bard you know.
Yeah. Players, if you're going to play this, lean hard into that. Like, have a lot of fun with this, because, I mean, this is the perfect time to taunt and work with your DM to, like, come up with some fun insults.
What's the 6th level ability?
Evasion.
Sure.
Because
it only makes sense.
Because if you're going to be a living target, you need evasion.
I'm with it. That like I said, it only makes sense.
Yeah.
What you got for 14th?
The 14th is pretty special. I call it dramatic exit. Once per short rest, you go invisible, and an illusionary duplicate makes an exit or death of your choice, similar to the spell Mislead. There used to be a 3rd level spell that would give you a dramatic death, and then you could scurry away.
It was a magic item, I think.
Was it a magic item?
The amulet of dramatic death.
Yeah, amulet. Okay, so it's the same thing. Dramatic exit. So you can either choose to make an exit and the cops run after that guy, or you can choose to die if the dragon's killing you and you run off that way. But either of which, you make some kind of exit and it's illusionary and you get the out.
Sure. We did do some suggested spells for this, some of which make amazing sense and some are interesting.
Yes. Any of the bard spells that are already on the list make a perfect addition to the College of the Accomplice, but some of these in particular that are not just make sense. Shield, for example.
Sure.
You got to have shield, right? You are a living target. Silvery Barbs is another great example of that.
It's delightful.
Yes.
Mirror Image.
For the same reason, you are a living target. Don't make yourself hard to hit because you are tiny with few hit points. You're not a tank.
Far Step for when your party has already escaped and it's time for you to get out.
Yeah, it's time for you to bounce. Scatter, which is a useful spell as well.
Yeah. Simulacrum.
For when you definitely need a duplicate.
That's for when you want to fake your death for real.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they turn into snow when they're dead, but still.
That's true.
But interestingly enough,
clone.
For when you want to definitely fake your death. And that would be a lot of fun. And then contingency for when you need to get the hell out.
Plane shift for when this plane isn't even safe anymore.
Yes. And then the capstone of all of it, if you're going to take an ability, then take foresight so that you can re-roll as often as you need to.
I think all of those make sense. And all in all, this feels like a really fun subclass for a city campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Especially.
This is the bard I already play, given my insanity and chaotic neutral alignment. And so this is just something that would increase the fun aspect of playing a crazy ass bard.
Right.
College of the Accomplice, right? Look at me. Well, the rest of the group is stealing everything from under, like, that's not nailed down.
Right. Look at me. Stop looking at me.
Yep. So there you have it. 6 bardic subclasses for you to use in your campaign. Again, some amusing, some very useful, some you haven't heard of, and then some slightly inappropriate.
Sure.
The best way to describe that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. Any questions or comments? Hit us up at Goblin Corner on Twitter or Mastodon. Did you enjoy this program? We hope so. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite player, YouTube, and Twitch.
Click the 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes Podchaser and on YouTube. Click like, subscribe, get your notification bell running. It feeds the hungry algorithm.
Which is currently rolling up with a lute and sweet whispers into your ear. Seductive.
Indeed.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, folks. The Goblin's Corner has been written and produced by Eric Holden and Matt Staple.
D20 did our music.
And this has been a Subterranean production.
Later.